Hey everybody, Alex Worth here at the Caddis Fly Shop, the Oregon Fly Fishing blog. I'm going to tie up a fly that many of you know and love, the Mega Prince. Tying it on some of these new Daiichi jig hooks, just adding a little bit of special sauce to this one. A little bit of my own additions to it. Nothing crazy, not reinventing the wheel, but hope you enjoy. Alright, we're tying a Jigged Mega Prince today on one of these new 4640 Daiichi hooks. We're tying it in a size 6. First things first, I'm going to mash the barb here in my vise. Get it situated back in there. We're using the 4.6 millimeter 3/16 slotted gold tungsten bead. I'm going to go small hole first here. Get it onto my hook and back into the jaws of the vise. Next thing I'm going to do here, I will often forget this if I'm only tying a few or if I have not done this in a long time, tied this fly in a long time, but going to get the antennae of the stonefly tied onto the front. So just get my thread started there using 6/0 fire orange uni thread. Get a little hot spot going at the end of the fly. I'm going to use a pinch wrap here. You can see I've just folded this rubber legs over. I'm going to put it on top. Pinch wrap here, so I'm still holding on with my left hand. Loose all the way around and snap down. Probably couldn't see that super well because my hands are in front of it, but now I'm just going to get a couple more securing wraps here. Wrapping down and then back up. Cut off my excess. Chuck it, and just gonna move these around. I want them to be over kind of the top there of the hook eye. Next, I'm going to just do a couple little 2-turn whip finishes. And I don't necessarily care about putting dubbing in at this spot. Some people do, but I find it kind of makes the slotted tungsten bead not quite get seated correctly. Got my thread, and some people like to do a little dab of super glue here. I'm one of those people. A little bit. You don't want to get any of that on the rubber legs like I just did, because it can make them do some weird stuff, not really work super well. So you can kind of see there's very little of that orange thread still showing. That's good. Alright, get the thread started up again behind the slotted bead. A couple wraps here just to seat it. Cut my thread. And then I'm going to wrap it all the way back to the start of that hook bend. And I'm going to get a nice little thread base going here. Tying it in a size 6 today. We're kind of gearing up for winter fishing. The McKenzie's been in great shape lately. And the Mega Prince is really a fly that works just about year round, except for maybe the kind of the dog days of summer when water's getting really low and clear. But this is probably one of the most popular flies on our local waterways. Just works super well. Is it a nymph? Is it a streamer? Both? I don't know. I can't read fish minds. You can't either. But they like to eat it, and that is what matters. Alright, you might notice I'm using mylar tinsel here for the tag off the back of this fly. Most people tend to use the gold wire. I just kind of like the look of the flat mylar tinsel, and it's easier. I don't really think this part of the fly has much to do with the fishiness of it, but it's just part of its look, so you gotta make it work. So I went gold tinsel out here. You kind of notice I wrapped that down at an angle. Means I don't have to fold it back over and tie it gold side down like you would maybe on other methods. Wrapping it all the way down to kind of halfway into the bend, and then we're working our way back up. This is normally the part of the fly, this or maybe some peacock herl that's not quite secure. It's normally the part of the fly that breaks when a fish is eating it, but again, doesn't really matter all that much. Alright, wrapped it down and back up. Get that secured. Trim it out. Next thing we're gonna do here is get our marabou tail going. I've got one of these woolly bugger marabou plumes going. I'm just gonna take the tip of this marabou plume, not super thick here, a little on the sparse side. And I'm just gonna cut this right here.
Thank you very much.
Did you eat more chips yet?
Check the tail length. I want to go about the length of the whole hook here, nice and long, nice and long with the tail. And wrap it down a couple times. Check the length. Looks good. Next little piece. This is kind of my special sauce version of the Mega Prince. I add a little thing here, there, and change a couple things just for my own personal preference. I've got one piece of crystal flash here, one strand.
Peter, you take care.
Thank you very much.
Peter's a popular guy. Everybody loves Peter. Tie it in on one side, couple wraps, fold it over, couple wraps.
Anything I can do to help you?
I'm gonna leave this nice and long. I'll trim it at the end. Gonna do another pinch wrap here
Okay.
That actually is just what I need.
Good.
for the next set of rubber legs.
All right.
And this is pretty loosely secured, so I can maneuver them around a little bit. I want the legs on either side of the tail. Wrap it down, a couple wraps. And next I'm going to advance the thread up. I'm going to build up a little bit of a base again here. This is kind of, it doesn't really matter. I just like having an even underbody, so I'm pulling the end of those rubber legs down towards the bead and wrapping as I go, just to make sure that it's nice and even. Again, fish don't care, probably doesn't matter, but I like how it looks. And then wrap back to the tail again. Next, we're going to take a length of gold ultra wire. This is medium, it's maybe a little on the thick side. Probably want to go for a brassy or a small, just to make sure it bites into the peacock curl and gets it a little bit more secured. But this will suit my needs just fine. Alright, I'm going to take like 6 of these peacock curls. Normally I'll use them trimmed off of an actual like peacock sword from the tail, but this is what I got today. Forgot to bring one of the swords with me, so I'm going to take just the very tips here. They're super brittle, really frustrating to use because they'll break as soon as you put any pressure on them. So I'm taking like an inch, maybe an inch and a half off, and just trimming it. I did that off camera, sorry. Line all the tips up and time in. Loose wraps all the way up. And I'm going to stop this about a bead width from the bead. This is where I'll kind of build the thorax section. I'll add the India hen hackle. You'll see. So I'm going to take all of these together, and this is kind of a tricky part, but it's something that helps a lot with durability, and I think it makes it look better too. You take them all together and really lightly spin them around. You're kind of forming like chenille here when you do this. Can you guys see that? Cool. Spinning it around. You don't want to spin it too tight because then they'll snap. So this is kind of an experiment thing. You'll have to work on it. I do a really light layer of super glue on the underbody here too. Nice shaky caffeinated hands again. Alright. I'm gonna wrap around. Not too much pressure here. Really light wraps. Don't want to break these. I keep spinning as I go. Make sure that it's all corded up nicely.
Yeah, pink is definitely different. It's the other one.
All right. Couple wraps in front, 2 more behind. And let's snip that off. All right, make sure you do this. This is probably one of the more important parts of this fly because the peacock herl is so brittle. As soon as a sharp fish tooth touches it, it's gonna snap. That super glue on the underbody does help a little bit with durability. Really doing as good a job as I possibly can securing this down because I don't want this wire to come out. And take my crappy scissors and cut the wire out. Alright, next there's a little bit of a sharp end of this wire showing here, so I'm just going to cover that up because I don't want to cut my thread on it. And I'm going to move back here, right to where I finished that peacock herl. Got a India hen feather. These India hen backs are absolutely clutch if you're tying a bunch of these, or if you're tying soft hackles or anything like that. These work great. They work great for legs and everything like that, legs and tailing material. So I'm using a lot here. Probably get like 4 or 5 turns out of this. Tight end tip first, 3 or 4 securing wraps, wrap it up a little bit, take the tip, snip it out. And you can take your scissors and kind of steer those far side fibers backwards. I'm just going to fold it as I go. It'll show up a little bit messy once I finish wrapping this, but I can just take some thread wraps backwards and cover them up and make them all go back. Alright,
Yeah.
as you can see here, I'm kind of wrapping these stragglers out of the way backwards. Just using my fingers to manipulate those. Cut out the stem. Sweep them back again. I'm just going to go ever so slightly back onto them for the look. It's all about the look. Alright, one more pinch wrap here. Lining up the ends. Pinch here. Awesome. I'm going to maneuver these around a little bit. I kind of want a little bit of a splay apart, so I'm just using my thumbnail here and moving them around. And we're going to put a little tension on it and pull them backwards. I'm going to take maybe 3 or 4 more strands of peacock, different bird.
Thank you, sir.
Diamond tip first here. I did that same thing where I trimmed out the little brittle end. Alright. Twist them a little. Oh, a little super glue, just for durability's sake. Because I don't counter wrap this with wire. This will come undone pretty easily as well. Some people use dubbing for this. You can use that peacock ice dub, looks great. I just like to have the peacock all the way through the body here for the natural look. And I'll kind of chunk this up too. This is supposed to be the thorax of the bug, so I'll even wrap this back over itself if I think it looks too thin, too skinny. And one more. That looks money. Couple wraps behind, couple wraps in front, couple wraps behind, trim it out. And then just to have a good platform to lay the next piece, the goose buyouts on, I'm gonna wrap maybe like 10, 12 times. This also helps to start the build up of that hot spot, which is why I'm using this hot orange thread. So I'm taking these goose buyouts, splaying them at an angle like this, and then I'm going to transfer that to my left hand. I have it at an angle back towards myself, and the thread tension is going to take these back to parallel with that hook shank. So you can see now I might have to make some small adjustments here. Still keeping tension on this so that I don't just pull them completely out. And lengthwise here, I forgot to mention too, I'm going about the length of the shank. And then a couple more. Nicely done, me. this is actually perfect timing to break your thread, because if you're going to do it at any time, do it when you're already planning on building up some thread bulk. Oh, what I was saying before, I was talking about the tying in the biots. I'll kind of use this if I'm like swinging some soft hackles or something like that, or doing the green caddis, something that Chris turned Justin onto that I started doing a lot. Was just taking like a heavyweight posse bugger or mega prince, and then like a couple feet off of that you tie a soft tackle that looks like an emerger, and then the mega prince not only catches fish because it's fishy, but it also helps to keep the other fly from coming up to the surface on the swing, so you can fish a really lightweight soft tackle on a fairly long leader too. So I just took the ends there and wrapped them back for a little extra durability. I'm gonna take my thread out, do a quick 4-turn whip finish. Yeah, I love that setup, fishing a soft tackle off the end of one of these. Have a little 5-weight fiberglass single hand rod with a OPST Commando Smooth or Micro Skagit setup. I don't even remember what the line is, but it's great. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't gotten into that yet, that's a blast. So these legs are a little long. I'm just gonna trim them off a little bit. And the crystal flash is a little long. Gonna trim that off as well. Whoop. That looks good. The last 2 rubber legs here, just trim them up a little bit. Just going about the length of the marabou tail. Awesome. I'll add just a little super glue here to the thread wraps at the front. It helps to keep the biots from slipping out and finish up that head nicely. All right, cool.
Good looking fly,
That's
man.
the special sauce mega prince. Oop, I missed a piece of crystal flash. Tie it whatever size you want. Get it wet, and fish will eat it.
Good lunch,